Good morning. This is Pastor Jeff. I'm in my office on Sunday, December 3rd, 2023, and this is the sermon that I'm going to be preaching at our Sunday 9:15 service. It is December 3rd, 2023. It's Advent 1, Year B. And our gospel reading for the day is Gospel of Mark, chapter 13, verses 24 through 37, the Holy Gospel according to Mark. Glory to you, O Lord. But in those days after the suffering, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. And the stars will be falling from heaven, and the powers in the heaven will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. Then he will send out the angels and gather his elect from the four winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of heaven. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as its branches becomes tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that he is near, at the very gates. Truly, I tell you, this generation will not pass until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, neither the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Beware, keep alert, for you do not know when the time will come. It is like a man who is going on a journey when he leaves home and puts his slaves in charge, each with his work, and commands the doorkeeper to be on watch. Therefore, keep awake, for you do not know when the master of the house will come, in the evening, or at midnight, or at a cockcrow, or at dawn, or else he may find you asleep when he comes suddenly. And what I say to you all, keep awake. The gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. The passage this morning, once again, is a very challenging text. The text is especially challenging for us who want to rest into the Christmas season. I know that at times I sound like a broken record, but context is very important in understanding the scripture. And this morning, we do not get to hear the scripture and context. The words of Jesus are coming to the disciples after they have just shared with Jesus how impressive the temple that they just visited were to them. They were amazed at the large stones and the large buildings. Jesus then started to share with them about the destruction of the temple is looming. We then need to look ahead and see that immediately following the words today, Mark brings his listeners into the passion narrative of Jesus. In the end, the theme of Jesus' message is the following: the temple will no longer be the location of God. Why does this matter? Well, it matters because in Mark's world, his driving question is, where do we find God? It's a question that I believe many of us still ask today. Throughout Mark, he answers that question for us, and the answer that Mark gives us is quite shocking. He shares with his readers the following: we do not find God in the temple. Instead, we find God on the cross. We do not find God within the city. We find God outside the city walls. We do not find God grasping power. We find God in the wilderness. For us at Bayview, we can ask the same question. Today is Advent 1, where we will find God during this season. On Wednesday night, we began a series called For All People, and I shared with them, spend time with God. And all of this Christmas craziness, make time to spend with God every day. Read the Bible, pray, listen to music, journal your prayers or thoughts. Separate yourself for even a few minutes a day to spend time with God. After all, that's why God sent Jesus to earth, to be with you. When you depart church today, you could stop at the table in between the front doors in the conference room 1 and pick up two helpful resources to help you pause with God. One is the daily lectionary reading, and the second is an Advent devotional that is written by local pastors and leaders. I shared honestly with the Bible study group on Tuesday that I struggle with apocalyptic language. In the beginning of the sermon, I highlighted the aspect that we just want Christmas, and we get Jesus sharing a teaching on apocalyptic, and it can easily be confusing. What is apocalyptic literature? It's a form of prophecy, largely use symbols and imagery to predict natural and man-made disasters and relationships with end times. Often, the symbols and imagery involve strike readers as strange. If you want an example and a homework assignment, read Daniel 7. That reading can also connect you to today's story. I'm not sure how you feel when you read or hear these words from Jesus. However, there are individuals who believe that these words that Jesus shared with his followers are the heart of pastoral ministry. Jesus was giving them words of encouragement and hope. The early disciples, the first century Christians who witnessed the destruction of the temple, were struggling. They were looking at the world around them, and they were seeing destruction and defeat. And Jesus was sharing with them that in the chaos that you see and are experiencing, there is where God wins. This is where the victory takes place. And we take a deep breath and we go, huh? In 3 weeks, we are going to be in this holy space, and we'll be focusing on the baby in the manger. The baby in the manger will turn into being the salvation for the world. The last 26 weeks, we have been journeying through Matthew as he shared with us this amazing life of Jesus, turning the world upside down and how we can live. The authorities, they did not like the life that he lived, and they killed him by placing him on a cross. The cross turned into resurrection, and death was defeated. This morning, we had a baptism. Anytime that we have a baptism, I think that it is a good time to think about the baptism of Jesus and our own baptisms. Thus, as I was writing this sermon, I was thinking about the baptism of Jesus. Did you know that Mark began his book with the baptism of Jesus and concludes the book with the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus? Did you know that Mark only uses the Greek word schizio 2 times? And did you know that Mark used the word in the baptism of Jesus and the crucifixion of Jesus? The word is a verb, and it means to split into fractions. On the surface, one might react with the common phrase, so what? If we reflect on it deeply, I think that we might get to a deeper message that Mark is trying to share with the early community and us. The deeper message can give us the encouragement and hope that we need. On Wednesday, we celebrated God is with us, and this word can give us insight to this message. So let's dig a little deeper and get to that so what. If we open a window, a door, or a curtain, they can easily be shut again. However, when something is ripped apart and it's split into fractions, it cannot be shut again. And this changes our mindset on God. We cannot have God out in the open and then put God back. With the heavens and the baptism being torn open and the curtain in the temple being torn apart, God is out. The baptism of Jesus and the death and resurrection of Jesus has changed everything. When Mark bookends his book with these 2 images, he is telling us that there is no way that we are keeping God at a distance anymore. God is not just in the heavens. God is not just in the temple. God can be anywhere. I saw a t-shirt this past week that stopped me in the tracks. I'm not sure what to think of it. On the shirt was a manger scene, like the one that we have in our church. However, it had some troubling words on it in a sense. It said, spoiler alert, he dies. Our passage today starts out dark. We like to paint Christmas and Jesus pretty in the manger. However, the birth of Jesus is risky business. It's risky because of his life and how he dies. But the shirt, during Advent, maybe we can come to the grips that because God dies and raises from the dead, that death will be no more. Maybe the t-shirt speaks truth that I don't always want to hold on to. God exceeds every expectation that we have. It is tough to grasp that we have a God that created the whole universe. Then God came to the earth as a baby, born to a young unmarried couple to save the world. Friends, today, let us hold on to the dear message that truly is great news. God is no longer just up in the heavens. God is no longer behind a curtain in the temple. God became an infant to bring us life. Our lives may be difficult. We may be in a time of suffering and despair. Yet, during this Advent season, we can truly believe that God came to us so that we can live. God came so death, in the end, will be defeated. And may this Advent give us an opportunity to create time and space to reflect on this wonderful truth, the word of the Lord.